don't really know why. Does that make sense? So
Yep.
it's like, this is the time to let's toss some things around. Let's toss about some ailments that you ran into, or a case that maybe somebody wanted, right? But you didn't really know how to deliver what they actually could get. I think that's a big piece with underwriting too. Is a client says what they want, and then you underwrite and you question yourself underwriting because it doesn't look like they can get what they want. And then
Yep.
you start doubting everything. You're like, well, they wanted 300,000, but it looks like they can only get final expense. See, well, you underwrite it correctly, but the way you're taking in the information isn't going to allow you to sell the product. So I think that's a piece of underwriting too. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the last time we did the underwriting training, as I was kind of thinking about what to talk about, I kept on going back to framing it and letting the client know why I'm asking these health questions. And it's because there's all of these different insurance companies that I work with. They all have different things they accept in terms of your health, prescriptions, and all that. My job is to help you get matched up with the company that is best for you based on your situation. And the key word there is your situation, right? It's not, hey, let me get matched up with whatever the heck it is that you want. I'm going to help you get matched up with the best plan for you based on the combination of what you're looking to accomplish, what your budget is, and what you qualify for in terms of your health. And like sometimes you got to circle back to that a couple times to really let the client know like that's what we're doing here. Does that make sense? Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't just walk up to the Bugatti dealership and just be like, oh, I just want the Bugatti. I don't care how much it costs. Like you got to qualify. You got to be able to afford it. Like there's all these things that go into it, right? And so like that's like the starting point of underwriting is framing it, letting them know what our value is to them. And when you explain it the right way, or sometimes when you have to revisit it and talk, like remind them what we're doing here, what our value is to them, but also, that it's based on their situation. That's how you can kind of reduce some of the for lack of a better term, dumb questions or the I want this, the tough to work with people that are the people that may seem tough to work with because they want and talking about all these things that may not be realistic.
Hey,
So
Bryce, you bring up
framing
a
it
good
is
point. At the beginning of their conversation, like sometimes you may feel like you're getting sped up, right? To kind of rush through the underwriting to get them a quote or something like that. Okay. I know during structure, we lay it down. Okay. But sometimes you don't get to structure before you need to lay it down. Because has anybody been there before? And do you guys know what I mean by lay it down? I'm just
Grab
speaking
control of
in.
the conversation, basically.
There you go. Okay. Because it's like, so because sometimes you guys, I think the script is awesome. Okay. But sometimes early on, they're gonna say something that you're gonna need to jump to that structure piece of, hey, Bryce, hey, I know what you're looking for. All right, and we're definitely gonna help you find that. All insurance companies are within $2 to $5 of each other, though. So just so you know, I work with all of them, and I even like to add, insurance companies are like banks. Okay, and then I follow that up with, so Bryce, like you got a mortgage, right? Yep.
yep.
All right. So like you go here, one bank will tell you get a 5.2 interest rate, another bank tell you get a 6.3, another bank tell you can't even qualify. Why is that? You're applying for the same amount with every bank. Well, they all have different underwriting. Exactly. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. When you can bridge the gap for people and give them, what's the word? Parallels. Is that the word? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
When you can, when you can give folks parallels and make it make sense. A lot of the times, that's what our job is. Our job is to make it make sense to the client. And if we only speak in insurance terms, they don't get it. You know what I mean? If we only think like we have to compare it to something else, which is why that car dealership thing works. So look at like, you know what I mean? So there's little places that you can put this in because underwriting isn't just finding what they can get. It's you have to explain to them what underwriting is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You have to explain to them what it is. This is what we're doing. Bryce is very good at it. Clint's very good at it. By the way, we got Clint hopping on our Friday call next Friday. We got Marisa tomorrow, and then Clint next Friday. Okay, we need some really, really good outside training coming in. But that piece of it, explaining it, okay, during that structure piece as well. Feel free to check in with people during that time. I hear a lot of folks sometimes during the structure piece not checking in with the client. You kind of just rolling through it. Hey, does that make sense? Are you with me? Do you have any questions? A lot of that will stop you getting deeper into it and getting these little objections or lack of clarity. So just try that out. I know we're kind of going left, but I think all of that goes into underwriting. So any questions about any underwriting that you're dealing with?
Yeah, I got an underwriting question.
Yeah.
But before I get into my question, what you were saying about like breaking it up, I've also noticed too, if you don't break it up and you go through that little portion right there, to the client, it sounds like, oh shit, we got a lot of work to do. You get what I mean? So they start thinking that maybe like, oh, well, can you just call me back? Actually, I don't really have that much time. You know what I mean? Because they think it's going to be a long ass process from there.
Okay, so it's like a run-on sentence. Y'all remember that?
Yes, exactly. It's too long.
you remember as a kid, like they'd be like, that's a run-on sentence. That doesn't count. Like, dude, you got to put a period right there. You know
right.
what I mean? It's like you got to put a period in there sometimes.
Yeah. But my question is,
don't be afraid to check in with them. So great point.
But my question is because I ran this the other day. It kind of it was bothering me, and I had a question, and now it just popped back up. So I knew this lady. I knew she was going to get Eagle Select 2 because she had a defibrillator and she had a heart attack in 2014, right? So I was doing the underwriting. That was made, and then obviously she was a diabetic, type 2, and was on some stuff. But it came back and like just like I thought, she got pre-approved for Eagle Select 2, right? But when I clicked on heart disease, and so they start asking a couple of questions. And one of the questions, and I don't know if I answered this wrong or if it was going to kick it out anyways.
Right.
So the question was about a defibrillator. If she's been, I think it was like if she's had a meeting or is she supposed to get a defibrillator? And I said yes because she had one, but I'm thinking I was supposed to put no because she got one 10 years ago.
Because she already has it.
Because she already has it. And I think I fucked her off.
You put yes to where she's about to get one
yes.
put in.
Right. So so that fucked it off and it auto withdrew it. And
that's tricky. That's tricky right there. And now you can't go back, right?
And now I can't go back. I tried, look, it wouldn't let, because it auto withdrew it. I didn't withdraw
Thank you for sharing that with everybody. See, Zach's expensive lesson right there. Hopefully everybody, thank you for sharing that because I didn't that was
a $1,200 lesson.
Correct. Do you know what I mean? So, but
actually, no, more than that because she was going to get $30,000 of coverage. It was like 156 or something. It hurt. Trust me.
All right, good to know there though, you guys. All right.
That brings about a larger, conversation of like that's good to know for that specific product for sure. But like we don't talk a ton about the actual application because it is very simple, right? You're just basically answering questions. But it is also extremely important to read every question very literally and kind of slow down and make sure you're answering it the right way. Because like when I was new, I would get people decline because they would say, has the proposed insured had cancer within the last 5 years? And I just saw the word has and cancer, and they may have had it 27 years ago, and I was like, oh, yep, they've had cancer. But it very specifically asked, have they had it within the last 5 years? So that question that you saw was like super specific of, are they going to need a defibrillator down the road? Not have they had one in the past? You just saw the word defibrillator, breezed through it, clicked yes, got a decline.
Right.
Does that make sense? So these insurance companies, like the way that they ask the questions about the health stuff is a lot of times extremely like specific with a time frame. And you just need to make sure that you are reading that the right way and slowing down and answering it the right way, because that could be the difference between getting somebody approved and declined for somebody that maybe's got some stuff going on. Like a lot of times these companies are more lenient than you may think with stuff based on the time frame of when the client had the health condition or issue or whatever. So if you just kind of see the word and just kind of breeze through it, the app, like you're probably missing some stuff.
Yeah, because I definitely went back and looked at it and I was like, oh, fuck, I think
the way that it was worded was very specific.
And I was like, oh, man. And I tried to redo it and it wouldn't let me do it.
I got a here's another one that I think is going to help, or I know it will. When you are running IUL or term with Americo, okay, you're going to have clients that say, I'm not taking anything, and they're going to get their pre-approval, but it's going to ask you about high blood pressure, diabetes, okay? And your client's going to say, no, I ain't got diabetes. No, I don't take nothing for high blood pressure. If you answer, no, they don't take anything, they're going to get declined because on their records, it shows that they were prescribed something.
And so, Dom, you're saying that when the application prompts like an extra
Prompts you.
question
The
about,
application is going to prompt you.
yeah,
This happened to me. I pulled a Zach. Okay. No lie. I remember this thing cost me like $3,000, dude. All right. And she's over there like, no, I don't take anything. I'm like, well, they're asking me. And I'm just thinking like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to answer no again. Declined.
yeah.
And then it happened to me again. And I was like, you know what? I didn't even ask anybody. I was like, dude, let me just answer yes. Like, what's it hurting the person? Does that make sense? Nobody's getting hurt, by the way.
Yeah.
But this is just to make sure that electronical system and you don't trip up a client getting approved. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because a computer can only do so much. So they see that, answer yes to it. They're not going to get rated up or nothing like that. Okay. So if you get prompted that, and this happens a lot, by the way, it does. Do you know what I mean? So if you get prompted that, just answer yes. All right. And then it'll fly through. Okay.
Yeah, so it'll pop up something. It'll say, based on the proposed insured's medical history, we see that they may have a history of high blood pressure or diabetes. So that's like an extra question that they pop up after they check the MIB. And again, if they say, hey, we see this, and you go, oh, nope, they're going to decline it, right? But if you're okay, you see it, sure, click yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you don't even have to tell the client. You don't have to be like, no, I'm answering yes to that because you're lying. No, it's all good. Just keep it pushing.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's good stuff. Anything else there, you guys? I like there's so many little nuances here, but I think these things will.
I got a question. I need some clarity. Just reminded me of it. On the application with Mutual Omaha, once you get towards the end, there's a question that comes up and says, have you or have you not provided the potential client with the MIB something report per state regulation, yes or no? So it's asking if I've already provided them some type of disclosure or statement. That one's always kind of just needs a little bit more light shed on it.
That's going to say, you're going to say yes. When they click on that thing, you know how they open that thing up and then they close it right away?
Uh-huh.
That's what that is.
So that's pretty much me saying that I provided and I disclosed it to them.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
Now, I'm not saying sit there and read that whole damn thing. That they could save it. Does that make sense? That's why it gives them that option to save it if they want to. And I do have some clients that go, should I save this? I go, yes, that's totally up to you. You know, and it comes with the application as well. So that's exactly what one of those two pop-ups are.
Okay, so I've been doing it correctly. Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, because you say no to that, they ain't gonna issue it, right? They don't even let you go through if you say no.
It still go through.
Does it add? Do you add? Does it add a layer? Do you have to get anything extra signed?
I think maybe it asks for.
I think it makes you explain. Yeah, it makes you explain.
Explanation.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, just say yes. No more explanations. All right.
I have a question too.
Yeah.
So when you're doing like on America and you're doing like an illustration and you're giving a person a range, does it factor in the possible like medical history? If that makes sense. Like I know it does like Eagle Select 1, Select 2, because I had a client today and I gave him a range, and then when I went in and did his application, it was much higher than the range. Like
was it Select 3?
Like the range I gave him out to is going to be between like 90 and 145, and then it came back and it was like 200.
Yeah, that's because you gotta look. I think he got approved for Select 3.
I looked, and on Select 3 was like the highest was like 150.
All right, so you had to have input something wrong.
Okay.
It had to be an age or something going on there.
Okay.
What Select did it say that he was approved at?
It didn't even. I don't even remember. I know the only thing he had was I believe COPD,
Okay.
and high blood pressure. So what would that go like select two?
It could be one.
But he wanted like we looked at 30,000 in coverage and it was like 200. So
How old was he?
I want to say 70.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Okay.
Like that seems about right for select one.
Yeah, he was. Ooh, where is he at? Yeah, he was 70 years old. He had high
Yeah,
blood
30 grand.
pressure.
That's at least $200
Yeah,
at the best rate.
yeah.
So
Well,
maybe you put it in. Maybe you didn't put in 30 when you gave him the range.
no, I put in 30. I don't know what. Maybe I did something else different,
Look
wrong.
at it right now. Just mess around with it. No, we're not gonna wait, but just put his age and stuff in there right now. See what comes up.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, are we picking the ranges like say like the Eagle Select products like based off of the Eagle Select 1 and Eagle Select 2 when we're quoting them? Or are we like getting super specific?
All right. So I'm not a big fan of even unless my clients are really asking me like how much is it? I'm not even talking about a price. And I think if you do this thing with structure and tell them how it goes, like we were just talking about, and what we're going to do, they shouldn't even ask me how much it is until I tell them how much it is.
Okay, like
Yeah,
after
and you know what I mean? So I guess I don't want to be in the habit of giving these ranges all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want to get in the habit of it. So if a client's asking me, do you know what I mean? Or they have a policy, right? Say they have a policy, they're looking to replace it. Well, I got to know how much they're paying, and I got to know if it's even worth me even having this conversation, right? Okay. If they don't have any insurance at all, now I'm just figuring out the why and letting them know I'm going to shop for them. So I don't even have to get myself into this position of ranges and things like that. I'm shopping for you. So when I come back to you, I'm coming at you with something that is most likely you're going to get approved on. Make sense?
Okay, so you'll go ahead and you'll like get their information, you'll run an application without talking any sort of numbers whatsoever.
Correct. The numbers I'm talking about to them are what the why is, like what's the value that they're going to bring, whether it's 10, 15, 20, 30 grand. I don't care how much it is. You with me? Like it doesn't matter when the problem that we're solving is much more important than how much it is per month.
Okay.
And if we can identify the problem and make that the big deal, then I can say, hey, to take care of your daughter flying out here and taking care of that burial and making sure her time off of work is going to be taken care of, I recommend you have about 20,000, and that's only going to be $175 a month. You know, and now we can play around with it from there. You know what I mean? And I know their budget somewhat, you know what I mean? Since you're not going to blow somebody out the water when they tell you that they're, you know, like you kind of know what's going on, you know, but I want to give them recommendations based on their why. Okay. And be clear, you're going to have folks. And I think who can probably speak to this? I think probably, who's on here right now? Probably Zach or maybe Red, who's making some movement with clients and realizing how much value you can bring before prices. Because I think when you come in, you think people buy because of how much it is, which is spot on, like the way you should be thinking, because like that's what I thought. Okay. But as you start rolling in this thing, you start realizing, wow, they're going to do whatever it is I tell them to do.
I would say based off of in the why when you're building value, and obviously like what you guys have been saying about asking the most questions wins. I've felt as though like the last month and a half I've gotten way better at my question asking, and then them telling me them not having the answer, and that's why we're trying to figure out what we're talking about here. So like even the lady today that I was helping out, and her husband passed away in November. She does have a policy already for her burial, but since her husband just passed away, now she has to pay the full mortgage because of VGLI. And I was like, well, would your son have to pay it if you passed away? Would he be able to do that, knowing that he's only 24 years old? I'm assuming basically, how did that make you feel when your husband passed away? Remember that, how we talked about that?
Yeah.
I finally got a chance to hear. I said, well, how did that make you feel knowing that your husband passed away? You haven't been able to get your policy. Oh, I didn't like it. So I'm assuming you're not trying to have your kids feel the way that you had to feel this past November. She was like, correct. You know what I mean? And so then by the time I even got to presenting numbers, I had built up so much value, and I fucked up because I quoted her Eagle Select 1. It came back Eagle Select 2, but the value was there that it didn't even matter that the price changed.
Dude. So now you look at it and go, the value you can if the value's there, you could still show price and have and still have a client, right? But just imagine if you didn't, like it wasn't even needed.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like you'd be like, dude, she probably didn't even need that going into the app, you know? And I think if we really take a step back and we got to remember that the price that people put on their family, they will only tell you the truth if you show you really care. Okay. What I found is when it's really about the price, you're going to make some sales. Okay. But will they stay on the books? Okay. Our leads are that good that you can just, some people are just going to roll with it. But then they're going to meet somebody who really cares. And there's no way that you're getting the same premium as somebody who really cares. Make sense? I remember when I started, my premiums I had $5,000, $10,000 policies all day long because I was just taking care of the immediate need, the immediate cremation, the immediate burial. It was very transactional. But then when I really started digging into the future, what that was going to look like, then I started separating myself from all the other agents who were selling on the immediate. That's where we are. That's what sets us apart. That's what's going to keep your business on the books and keep you in the industry. It's a lot of people who make conversions, but they're out of business because their value is not there. Makes sense? So take the time and ask those questions, build that why. Ask them, how does that make you feel? And they start telling you all these different things. I don't want this and this and this and this and this. All right, so here's what we're going to do, Brayley. I got about 30 different companies that we're going to look into. I'm going to input your information here, okay? And they're going to let me know what the best carrier will be. All right, I just need you to shoot me over your ID. Then we can start that app. We can start that process. Sounds good to me. Then they shoot you their ID, and now you have open game to go with any carrier you please for the next freaking 3 hours if you want to. But when you pigeonhole yourself with 10,000 is $47, good luck. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying, there's just no reason to do that. Our clients, I think we rush ourselves into that type of stuff.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Their clients they're really not, well, I just want to know how much it is. Well, great. We'll know how much it is after we know if you qualify. Cool. Well, how do I know if I qualify? You're going to shoot me your ID and we're going to run your information in and they're going to tell me. If it was up to me, I'd approve everybody, Brayley. I'd approve you right now. Shit, I get paid if you get approved. You want to be approved? Shit, let's go. Approved. But it don't work that way. So we got to slow down and I got to run it through the carriers and I got a license, which means they trust me more than they trust you. So as much as you don't trust me right now, the insurance companies do. So we're just going to have to work together and I'm going to build trust with you because the insurance companies trust me already. You see how saying stupid stuff like that will get people to break the ice and just go, whew, okay, now I kind of get what we're doing right now. Versus trying to be all slick and sly. Yeah. Just be straight up with them. It's okay. I have a license. I'm here to help you. All right. The good one is this too. Never mind. I won't go there. Any other questions about underwriting? I think showing options as well. We talked a little bit about, these options. I think they do kind of go hand in hand. So it could be underwriting or showing options.
Hey, Dom, I have a question. This is Elena. I can't get my video to unblur or whatever is happening, but I
it's
have
all good. We can hear you.
You said that to get their ID to shoot it over to you. Now, how did they shoot that over to you? Okay. I'm very new, so please help me out.
No, this is good. The ID piece, it is a buyer's move. Okay, this is that's the first thing it is. Okay, it's a buyer's move. So that's my intro into. I don't say, hey, we're going to start the application. Hey, we're going to do this, or can we? I just go, shoot me over your ID so we can start this up.
Okay.
And then they're going to take a picture of it, okay, and text it to you. So now we're getting them in their phone because they're going to have to get a text for the signature in about 15 minutes. Make sense?
Yeah.
So now it's a whole trial to see how technological how do I have to be? If I say send me your ID and they're going, shoot, I don't really know how to take a picture. I'm like, oh shit. All right, cool. Well, then I know I probably should never go Transamerica. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I mean, there's just little signs like that you're like, oh, okay. But if I didn't know that, I may start running Transamerica and then get to the signature because the ID really isn't telling me anything I don't already know. So the real reason we're getting it is to get them in buyer's motion. Okay.
Got it.
So great question, though. Great question.
Oh, I have another question. Again, I'm new. Yep. Go easy on me. On the leaderboard on WhatsApp, I'm not completely understanding everything. The numbers. It's
gotcha.
I know I'm distracting from your points. I hope I'm not distracting.
No. This is
that's
good.
A great question.
But it has carrier, the lead, and then AP. What is the AP? Is that the earned income, or is that like what you make up front?
Could be. All right. So it goes both ways. So AP stands for annualized premium.
Okay.
Which is the monthly times 12.
Monthly times 12. Okay.
How we get paid on that, Elena, is you're going to get paid your comp 75% advance.
Okay.
Okay. So let's just call it, let's say it was $1,000. All right. You get paid 75% of $800 if you're at starting comp. All right. And then the higher you go, the more you're going to get paid of that. But it's the same at every comp, 75% of whatever your comp is.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yo, I'm going to give a shout out to Darlene, writing her first app. Yes.
Let's go.
Good work.
Henry day before that, and Natalia.
Henry on the board. Let's go. And Natalia. First of many. First of many. That's great stuff, man. Mm-hmm. Any questions on showing options? Because I think this is, and practice this stuff. I think practice your transition. Practice saying, reiterating their why into the option. I think a lot of times we think like we did the why earlier, okay, and then we get to the price, like where we get the prices and stuff, and maybe we kind of stumble over it or kind of get right into it. That's a very, very good time to get them thinking about what this is going to do. All right, like Bryce. All right, so based on everything that we looked at, and the situation that you have, I know you already have 10,000. Okay, and I know that was to take care of your burial, but you realized that wasn't enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another 5 to take care of that. Probably another 5,000 is what you're going to need to make sure that you can get buried. But then this other 5 here that we're going to make it another 10 total, okay, is to go to your grandkids. All right, so Tom and Mary, so that they are taken care of. All right, so to make sure Tom and Mary are taken care of and your kids have enough extra money to take care of your burial, because we know 10,000 not enough, dude, that's only going to be $112. Like to really put it there, like what this is going to do and why you did that. And I think that's hard to do when you're giving 3 options. Okay. Now, there's people who sell 3 options. You go 1, 2, 3, and dude, they sell a ton of insurance. I can only train on what I've done, okay, and what I've seen effective, okay, with especially telesales too. I used to give more options face to face because I could read the client, there's body language, but I can't read body language over the phone. So you may have a question like, Dom, why don't you show 3 options? Because I couldn't see them. And that was a big piece of me selling, was reading arms crossed, that looking like when I said this, like freaking the air just came out of them. Make sense? So what I found on telesales is that I have to be more finite. I have to be more of a advisor. Bryce, what do you think about that? I don't know if we really talked about that why piece of that piece, but I think you've seen the evolution. But what do you think about that?
I totally agree, because kind of the same point of like what we were talking about earlier of the asking, does that make sense to kind of do like a pattern interrupt or break it up? Like when you get into the whole 3 options, sometimes it can feel like you're saying a lot of stuff, and you might have said that first price and they might be gasping at that. You know what I mean? And it's like, all right, now I'm giving 2 more. This is not helping my situation at all. So like, let's get some immediate feedback on this to see if we need to go up or down. So
Boom.
I've been doing that way more recently too, or sometimes just 2. Like, all right, we're gonna 15 to 20. 15 is this, 20 is this. Just based on that, do you want to look at more to leave more for your family, or do you need to look at less to lower the payment? You know what I mean?
Dude.
Just getting some like immediate
Oh,
feedback when we
oh,
start to
oh.
get into the numbers piece.
Dude, this is so good. Okay. This is so good. All right. The sooner on the phone we can get to it. Okay. 3 options, like he said, takes too damn long. Okay. Too much thinking. You may hit it right, but just going, hey, 15,000 is this, 20,000 is this. Should we go up or down? What one makes the most sense for you? Whew. That seems very easy to answer, right? Versus, hey, 10,000 is $75 a month, 20,000 is 92, and then 25,000 is 138. Which one of those works for you? And there's probably going to be more words in there as well. Kylie, can you see yourself present or taking some of that into your options, showing options?
Definitely so. Definitely. Yeah.
Can you replay, like, can you think back to some clients that that may have I always like to look back and go, like, when I learn things and go, damn, if I would have done that here, I may have had a different outcome.
Yeah.
You know?
I think for me is I need to build more on the why. And I know we've been talking about it, but like this Zoom right now is really, I just bought a fresh pack of leads today and I've been getting a lot of answers and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was 2 that kind of slipped, and I'm like, listen, like in this meeting right now, I'm like, I did not build on the why. And it's like they had the money for it, but then they, oh, let me talk to the wife. And so I'm like, I should have, kind of brought it in more on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were they both that way? They both had the same thing?
Yeah, they were both older gentlemen. The one dude, that's the one that I quoted. I did this scale for. He was an ethos lead, so he already had a price range that he had. That's why I gave him the sliding scale with
Right.
America. And then he was like, well, let me talk to my wife. So we scheduled an appointment. So tomorrow, hopefully they pick up, but you know how that goes. But yeah, I just wish I would have built on the why more. In terms of pricing, I do it. I just gauge out the client when I do, like, if I show 3 options or not. Like if I know this client was like money pinching, I might just show like, okay, this is $10,000. This is exactly what you need. But if I know they kind of got more money to play with, then I sometimes do like the 3 options.
Okay. Now, to your point, and I understand why you do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, options sometimes confuse people.
Yeah.
Okay. Just remember, try to come off as the doctor and just tell them what you recommend based on their scenario.
Okay.
Based on your scenario, Tom, I recommend you do this. Okay? Most of my clients, people love to get grouped. Yo, Brayley, most of my clients in your scenario, they typically do this. They usually keep their current insurance like you have because they've had it forever, but then they just add another 15, 20 just to make sure that they're protected from inflation. That's what most of my clients do in your scenario. And now they'll say yes to doing what most clients do before they even know what the price is.
Yeah, I think I need to add that in because I'm not gonna lie. I think I get like anxiety, or I feel like let me show them, the lowest price so that they'll buy, and I have to overcome that thought.
Oh, I love how you're self-reflecting during this right now. I really do, because that's the biggest piece. Because when you start to say like because a lot of times we project what our results are. My premiums were so low and things like that because that's kind of how I was aiming for that, but not intentionally. But I thought the lowest was going to get me the close.
Yeah, that's how I think.
Do you know what I mean?
Need to rewire that.
Yeah, you just got to rewire value. Write this down. When value exceeds price, people buy. But in order to get value, we got to get uncomfortable. We got to ask some questions. Questions like, man, if I'm talking to a guy and and I ask, how long you been married, and he's 70 something years old and he says 8 years, what's a good follow-up question to that? Kylie?
Is this your first marriage or second?
There we go. This is very important, okay?
Yeah.
You have to be listening, okay? So my man's 72 years old and goes, yeah, I've been married for 8 years. I go, okay, was this marriage 2, 3? Which one you on? Man, this number 3, and it's the last one. Man, what happened to the first 2? Man, I'm telling you, bro, you open up a can that they want to talk about. But if you
Don, when people say that, I always say, you didn't learn from the first 2 mistakes? Nah.
But these are just things like so. And if people just listen to them, and it's going to allow you to dig in some areas to where people get comfortable. All right, you want to see how soon you can get people to get. Imagine you're a client. I like to imagine my clients when they pick up the phone that they're like this, okay? Like, you guys see me? Like, they're just like, okay, face all turned up. And I got to figure out how to get them to uncross their arms. I got to figure out a way to get them to lean back in their chair. I got to figure out a way for them to put their feet up. You know what I mean? If you feel like doing your presentation, your client is like this the whole damn time, you're doing something wrong. And you know this. You know this. And this is the part where self-reflection, you got to be real with yourself. And go, are they not buying because of this? Or I'm not buying because they don't feel comfortable with me. And you know what? If they don't feel comfortable with you, you know who else don't feel comfortable? You. Makes sense? And they know it. And it's not the uncomfort as if I'm pushing, it's the uncomfort as, should I even be doing this? See, there's a different uncomfortable, like when you're, when you're working your butt off and you're trying different things, but that uncomfortable as of, should I really be doing this? You don't want your client to feel that. You want them to feel like, man, this person, they don't have all the answers, but man, they want to help me. And they're willing to ask me all these questions to figure out the real reason why I'm doing this.
Hello.
Versus, what's up, Will?
Mario, do you guys do can I just buy it at a good price, or do you have to install it too?
Who are you what is this about? What are you talking about?
Okay. Pricing wise, you know how I make out doing it like that?
No, what are you referring to?
He's talking to somebody named Mario.
Yeah, hey, just mute him out.
Oh, he's not on. Okay, got it.
Hey, Dom, I got something to say about that. I think I think what what you're kind of describing when you say like, well, is this your second marriage? Is that it's like an icebreaker. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that kind of like humanizes you versus just being like a salesperson on the phone, and it kind of gets people like out of their shield. Because yesterday I had this dude, he was like 37 on the or 39 on the phone. His birthday was coming up, and I was telling him, I was like, oh, you pushing 40. Make sure it's okay for me. I'm right behind you. And then we started talking about how many kids he has, and he had his first one at 15. And I was like, oh, you didn't waste no time, did you? You was Rico Suave back in the day, and like just those little like laughs right there allowed me to get into going through the whole script and him just being comfortable.
It's huge. Say some of the stuff that I don't know. Be inquisitive. I don't know if I told you guys this story, but like, call out the elephant in the room. I had a guy who didn't have a finger one time. All right. I went to his house, shook his hand, and I didn't really, it was his pinky. Shook his hand. Then like I basically growled, I was like, dude, and I took his hand and I said like this, and I said, dude, what's up with your pinky? Or lack thereof. He goes, damn, dude, you're pretty foreign. You know what I mean? He goes, I like that. Most people just kind of look at me all the whole time. And I'm like, that's what I was taught though. So if you're on the phone with somebody and they sound half asleep, Brayley, call them out. Say, hey, it's 1 PM, dude. Like, do you work like night shift? And did I wake you up or what's going on? No, I'm just okay. Are you drinking? No, I'm here. I said, next thing you know, they perk up and get off. Or you just realize this ain't your client. Versus sitting there talking to somebody who's half dead the whole time. Make sense? So make sure you're talking to the right client, and when you do have the right client, dig in on them. All right, and share some things that I think last time I was on, we talked about sharing some things about you. I think during that time of figuring out their why, and asking them questions. All right, those questions, you're going to find ways to relate to them through those questions. All right, you got nieces, nephews, bring them up. You got a grandmother, bring her up. You got a mom that you really bring her up. Whatever it is, these questions are going to allow you to build that common ground. Okay. To go with like the I think the options or just showing the recommendation. Like I said, practice that. All right, like role play, saying, this piece of it's only. It may seem easy to say, or it may just seem like, but you'd be surprised when you start presenting how many people don't say it. Really practice only. I used to have to bold it out. I had it on my binder, and I used to say, when you show numbers, all right, say only, because I wouldn't say it. And that only releases a lot of sales pressure, releases a lot of anxiety for the client. But when you go, hey, it's $237 a month, that's a lot of money if you don't say only. Be like, really, that matters? It does. It does matter. So any questions about options, underwriting, anything we talked about today, or anything outside of that as well? It's all good.
Can we loop back around to the ID and getting people's personal information before we look at numbers? Because I can just think of like 10 objections in my head immediately. Even if you have a good rapport with people, just to get them to give that personal information before, because I can just hear people saying, well, I'm not going to give you that personal information until I know how much it's going to cost. Like, is it going to be $500 or is it going to be $50? And so I'm not going to give you my personal information until we know if I can even afford it, right? Like, I can just hear all that coming up. So is that something I need to backtrack on a little bit? Because I feel like you could have the best rapport and conversation with them, and I feel like people are still going to balk at that.
Okay. I want somebody else to answer that.
Could I give an example? I got one. So when you're going through the script and you're building your value, you did all the financial inventory, you took everything out, and it has obviously a list of medication. Okay, here's what we're going to do, Genevieve. And I think here's what we're going to do is like a big thing that you have to say. You have to lead the person. Here's what we're going to do, Genevieve. We're going to make sure we can get you pre-qualified so that I don't tell you a number that's going to change. So we're just going to start the application, make sure I can see where you're going to be rated at, and then we'll be able to go over a couple options for you.
Boom.
Okay.
But here's what we're going to do. Once I started saying that, like Dominique said, people want to be led. So when you just start saying, "Oh, this is what we're going to do," and then they just follow suit because they filled out a request, so they're looking for somebody to tell them what to do.
Right, because I mean, I had an older gentleman that I did that with the other day, and like I ran him like all the way to the end, and it was pretty cheap too. It was like $56 a month, and he's like, I can't afford it, and I'm like, come on, like we've spent a half an hour on the phone doing all this, and we got to the end, I got you approved, like, and you still can't afford the $56, and so I feel like.
But so
like,
did you like you started an Americo application and you saw that he would have gotten approved? So
yes.
I'd rather at least know that he can get approved for that and then have him tell me I can't afford it than the other way around. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's like
so just basically suck it up then.
Yeah,
That's
it is what it is. Like that guy happened to say he can't afford it. But it's still better to know whether they can get approved before you look at numbers versus he can like, okay, we'll see if I can squeeze that $50 a month in, and then he's declined Americo. Now we got to go to Aetna, and it's like $75. Oh, I definitely can't afford that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So like, it's still it's not like there's no perfect world with anything, but at least knowing that if I give him a number, Americo's already told me that there's a 90+% chance that this is going to get approved if we complete this application. I feel much better about giving him a number now. That's why we do that. Everything is just about putting things as much in your favor as possible. There's no perfect world for anything.
Okay, so we'll go ahead. We'll still grab their information. We'll do all the underwriting. We're going to say, hey, I think they're going to get approved for Americo Eco Select 1 or 2. Go ahead, run the application. And then after that, we're going to be like, just literally run through everything. And then at the end, be like, okay, it's going to be $56.99.
Get it to so you run an Americo application now where you saw where at some point they either gave you the green little thing at the top that said they're good to go, or that popped up a message and said, actually, it's going to be this.
Mm-hmm.
So get it to the point where it does one of those two things. So all right, now I know what they say. So now I can give a number with confidence, knowing where it's going to come back.
Okay, because I mean, you were on the phone.
I know I shouldn't even give Americo because they're going to get declined. So now let me go to a different company because you're just trying to get out in front of having to like they agree to a price and like, oh shoot, it's actually not going to be that. Let me go over here.
Yeah, break.
Oh shoot, it's
well,
not
I mean
that's
exactly what happened when I had you on the call the other day. I got ahead of myself and ran that mutual application, and then it was like not favorable, and then I talked myself into a hole and lost him before I could run Americo. So
correct. That's what we're trying to get out in front of as best as possible.
And if you think back, Genevieve, that same client, I promise you, they will do what you tell them, like how the process is going to work. They don't have any assumption of how this is going to work other than what we tell them.
Right.
Okay. So when you get on the phone with them, and during that structure piece, it says what we're going to do there. It doesn't say I'm going to give you a number and then we're going to apply.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm realizing now is like I'm like just automatically inserting that myself to give them quotes. Like we don't have to do that.
No, that's not.
I don't know where that even came from now.
Yeah, but that's a natural. That's not very natural. Okay, that's what I thought people were buying on. I thought that was the trigger for me to move forward. Was them going, yes, I can pay that. Okay, now that's my permission to do the application.
Yeah.
Hey, Dom, would you use toolkits? Do you use toolkits?
I personally, I don't, but I do recommend
for newer agents.
Yeah, I do recommend using it, just for clarity. But
right.
Eagle Select isn't on toolkits like that, so you're really not going to get that good of a read a lot of the time. So, but if you do they do have like a bunch of stuff like COPD, a whole bunch of stuff that it will help because you're going to be able to get the Aetnas or the Transamerica notices and things like that. But all things being even, simple stuff, high blood, you know what I mean? Like, and I wouldn't say too simple too. Like, even congestive heart failure can go through with Eagle Select now. But if you put that in on toolkits, it's going to not say Eagle.
It won't show Americo.
Correct.
Okay.
So they're going to update that. So it's kind of lagging right now.
So basically, these toolkits to know your next pivot after America.
Okay.
Correct.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I learned that lesson the hard way. So
also for Genevieve, when they ask you for quotes, tell them you are not a quote person and go deeper. Tell them, you know something, your wife cannot cash in a quote when you die tomorrow. When you do not wake up, a quote does her no good. Let's push it through, get you approved, and then go from there. It's just how I would handle it.
Right. Because, and you can tell them this too, it's like, because it's always trust. Everybody on here, I'm speaking to you, Jenny, but it's always trust. Okay. So you just got to let them know that, hey, the only thing, and you go back to Kylie as well, right? I got to talk to my wife and things like that, right? I hear you. Okay. But hey, the only thing you should be talking to your wife about is something that's in black and white. Okay. Talking to your wife about you talk to this sales agent about how much something can be, the hell's that going to do? We don't even know if you can get approved. You don't even know if you can get it. That's like a wasted conversation. Why don't we get you approved? You get a policy sent to you in the mail. If it's everything I said it was, would you keep it? Well, Kylie, yeah. And if it isn't, you probably send that damn thing back and I'll lose my insurance license, right? Well, yeah, well, I want you to do that. Yeah, I don't want that either. Because me helping you ain't worth losing my damn career. So are you going to let me build that? Are you going to let me earn that trust and you get the insurance? There's a whole, like, you know what I mean? Like, let's attack it based on the trust, Kylie, and let's get them moving a little bit further. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hear you, but none of this matters until it's black and white. So use that with your clients a lot. Black, when it's in black and white.
Dom, one of the best, like along those same lines, you told me this early on when I was, running appointments, and I've used it so much ever since. And it's, if you feel that there's a lack of trust, like I'll give them something about myself. Like, look, I get it. I'm in California, you're in Kansas, you filled out a form on Facebook, and some random guy from California is calling you about that. Like, I totally, like, level with them, like call out the elephant in the room. Like, I totally get it why you're a little bit hesitant, but you have my insurance license. Like, I have a wife and two kids. I have a lot to lose if I'm doing any funny stuff. But here's what I asked, Dom. Trust me enough to allow, like, if this is important enough for your family, like, trust me enough to allow me to help you. But don't fully trust me until a policy comes to you in the mail and it's everything that I said it was.
Oh, man.
Down to the penny. Like, that kind of like levels with them and sets a tone of like, I hear you that this is an unusual interaction in a sense. Like, I get it. Like, with all the scams and stuff going around, I totally get it. But like, allow somebody to help you, and then when you get the proof in the mail and the black and white in the contract, look at that, match it up. Okay, now fully trust me. And if you don't, then you have the ability to send it back, right? But it's gonna, like, I've been doing this long enough to know it's gonna match up down to every penny.
Man, dude.
Trust me enough to allow me to help you, but don't fully trust me until the policy comes to you in the mail and it's everything I said it was. Like, I use that so much on the, okay, they get it, they can tell I'm genuine and I'm here to help and they like talk with me and everything, but there's just one little thing that makes them hesitant to provide some sensitive information.
Dude, that part, I promise you guys, if this was, I know this is recorded, but just go back and listen to that. I promise you start bringing that into your presentation, that piece of that human piece, that piece of, I recognize why you're a little ambivalent right now. See, if you can if the client knows that, man, they're seeing my fear and they're calling me out on it, but not in a bad way. They're basically saying that, like, I should feel this way. But is feeling that way worth not protecting my family? And that's where we don't address that a lot, you guys. We don't address that. They hang up the phone thinking that it is more important, that the way they feel is more important than taking care of their family, because we don't question them about it. Or we don't let them know that, hey, I already know. Yeah, dude, dude, you filled out something, like, just like what Bryce said, I filled something on Facebook, a random guy's calling you. I get it. I wouldn't be too jacked up to give my social security number out in banking either. But I'll be a little bit more jacked up to do that than my family losing the place when I die.
That's it.
So will you trust me enough to just help you so that you don't get there? Because I won't be there when that day comes for you. But I want to be the one that helps you because it's going to come. See, if you can read that and say statements like that before you start coming off desperate, before it goes back. See, I don't want to be playing tennis with people at the end. Make sense? This is how you ace that damn thing, or it's over. Make sense? Because when you find yourself playing volleyball at the end, oh man, oh, it's exhausting. You know what I mean? So questions, comments about any of that? Bryce, that was phenomenal. That was phenomenal. That last piece is that last piece is everything. All right. There's a lot of ownership you got to take during this sales process. All right. There's a lot
I got one last question before we.
Yes. No, you got it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Sorry. I've only really fully run an application once. So I just want to double check. So if you can run the application without giving them numbers, when you get to the end of it, that's what you can still make adjustments on everything then where it'll get, say, like Eagle Select 1 to 10, 20, 30,000.
Yo, great question. Yeah. So that number at the beginning, you can just leave it. You can always change that. So whether they got pre-approved at 10, 20, or 30, it doesn't matter.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if I put 20 and I get to the end and they're like,
locked in on that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's another big reason as well that you think you have to give them a number, right? Why wouldn't you? Shit, my bad. Makes sense. Like,
I know we just assume, yeah.
No. I promise you guys, you're not wrong for anything that you're doing. Like, we've just been doing this so long. We just kind of just be like, no, I get it. Yeah. Like, you get in the application, it looks like, fuck, I have to put a number in order to start it. So I better figure out if they agree to this before I start. Dude, oh my God. Okay. Thank God.
That's kind of where
I know, like Genevieve, remind us that you've never done it because we've done it 50,000 times. So like, it's just, you know what I mean? So like, remind us like, hey, first time, bring me back to square one.
No, that's exactly why you think
okay, because that's where I'm like, how do I even start that if I'm like, okay, I need your personal information. I'm just gonna throw 20,000 out there, and then this guy's gonna tell me hell no. So
no, great assumption.
Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, Corebridge, Americo, they all have a pre-authorization. Once they go yes, you still have the ability to adjust face amount before you hit submit application.
This just changed like my entire viewpoint on everything, just because I'm like so stuck on needing to get the numbers and know what they're gonna like need before I run the application. Now it's vice versa. So this is like totally flip-flop to what I thought was needing to happen. So it's super helpful.
And one last thing on that piece, when they give you those select one or two, like pick one or the other, you don't got to pick one or the other. Okay. You can go back and input whatever you want. Does that make sense? Like, it's not one or the other. Okay. So that's another thing once you get there as well. You can go back in there and just select whatever amount you choose. Okay.
Cool.
So great stuff today.
Dom, where do I find these recordings?
They are in the WhatsApp group.
I post them to my YouTube channel, and then I share that in the WhatsApp group.
I'm not in that WhatsApp group, I guess. I don't know.
You got my cell?
I do not, sir.
All right, I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. Shoot me a text, and then I'll get you the YouTube links.
I appreciate
it. Subscribe to my
sir.
YouTube, like and comment.
There you go.
Helps.
What is it?
If you subscribe to my YouTube, we post these all on there.
And what's your YouTube, Bryce?
My name.
Is it his first and last name?
Yeah. Too easy. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Dom and Bryce. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I got a text from Gail saying she didn't have my license number yet. Do you want me to text that to you guys, or is there?
Yeah, just shoot it. You can just shoot it straight to Gail.
Okay, it's not the one that you get in the mail. It's just the screenshot from NIPR and in it.
That's cool, and it's gonna have your NPN on it. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All good. All right, you guys, let's crush it. Tomorrow we got Marisa Maggiato. She's going to be doing our training tomorrow. Hall of Fame agency, Hall of Fame producer. She is killing it, helping new agents get started. Okay, like that's the premises of tomorrow. She's got